Something about that moment didn't sit right. Not the smiles, not the formal greetings, but the pause. A look that lingered just a second too long. And then quietly, the detail that royal watchers couldn't ignore. A routine security action involving Camilla's car that suddenly became the focus of intense online discussion. No sirens, no headlines at first, just questions. And those questions, according to royal observers, are what may explain why Prince William's behaviour toward Queen Camilla stood out so clearly in the days that followed. This is where it gets interesting, because whatever happened wasn't dramatic in the public sense, but in royal terms, it mattered. For anyone who follows the modern monarchy closely, moments like this are rarely about one single incident. They're about patterns, about timing, about what's said and what isn't. And this particular moment came at a sensitive point for the royal family. Prince William, now firmly positioned as the future of the monarchy, has been taking on a more visible leadership role. His appearances have been more deliberate, his messaging more controlled. Royal commentators have noted that he's clearly being prepared not just as a figurehead, but as a stabilizing force. At the same time, Queen Camilla's position, while long established, still carries layers of public scrutiny. Not hostility in the way it once did, but attention. Every move, every appearance, every detail is still passed in a way few other royals experience. So when reports began circulating that a member of royal protection had flagged an issue during a routine security sweep connected to Camilla's vehicle, it didn't take long for speculation to begin. To be clear, there has been no official confirmation of wrongdoing. According to multiple royal correspondents, what occurred was described as a standard security protocol, the kind that happens regularly and usually goes completely unnoticed. But this time, it didn't stay unnoticed, because of who was present and because of how William reacted afterward. To understand why this moment gained traction, we need to ground it in what actually happened in the days surrounding a recent public engagement involving senior members of the royal family. Royal protection teams were reportedly operating under heightened alert conditions. This isn't unusual. In recent years, protests, security breaches, and public disruptions have become more common at high-profile royal events. According to reports from royal journalists, protection officers have been instructed to carry out more thorough vehicle sweeps, including cars used by senior royals, particularly when events involve multiple public-facing appearances. So when a guard reportedly flagged something during one of these checks, it triggered internal protocol. Not panic, not accusations. Procedure. But procedure inside the royal ecosystem can still have consequences. Royal observers noted that shortly after this internal check, Prince William was seen engaging in a noticeably serious conversation with senior aides, and later his interaction with Camilla appeared more restrained than usual. No raised voices, no visible confrontation, just distance. And that's what caught attention, because William is known, even by palace standards, for his composure in public. When he changes his tone, even subtly, it tends to be intentional. Here's the thing. Royal watchers aren't suggesting that William accused Camilla of anything. There's no evidence of that, no leaks, no confirmation. But what they are suggesting is that William takes security matters personally, especially when they intersect with the public image and stability of the monarchy. And that's where interpretation comes in. Let's pause on that for a second. Security within the royal family isn't just about physical safety. It's about optics, messaging, and control. Every protocol exists for a reason. Every deviation is logged. Every detail is reviewed. So when something, however minor, disrupts that flow, it prompts internal conversations. According to royal commentators, William has increasingly positioned himself as someone who wants fewer surprises, not more. That's consistent with how he's handled recent family tensions, public controversies, and even scheduling decisions. So if a security guard flagged an issue connected to a senior royal's vehicle, even if it turned out to be benign, it would still matter to him, not because of blame, but because of risk. And risk is something William has shown little tolerance for. This is why, during the public engagement that followed, several body language analysts noted a shift. William was polite, correct, but noticeably reserved. Camilla, for her part, appeared composed, but quieter than usual. Again, none of this proves anything, but in royal analysis, patterns are often more revealing than statements, and the pattern here raised eyebrows. If you enjoy this kind of calm, detailed royal breakdown, where we focus on what's actually observable rather than jumping to conclusions, you might want to subscribe. This channel is about understanding the monarchy, not sensationalizing it. What makes this situation more compelling is what wasn't said. There was no palace briefing, no clarification, no follow-up story offered to the press. And that silence, according to long-time royal correspondents, is intentional. When the palace chooses not to comment on routine security matters, it's often because acknowledging them publicly would elevate their significance. In other words, silence can be a form of containment. But that silence also leaves room for interpretation. Royal watchers noticed that following this incident, William's schedule briefly shifted. Nothing dramatic, just a subtle rearrangement of appearances that placed him at events emphasizing stability, continuity, and leadership. Meanwhile, Camilla's engagements continued as planned, but with a noticeably lower media profile. No interviews, no spontaneous interactions, just the basics. According to royal commentators, that kind of adjustment is rarely accidental. It suggests internal coordination, and possibly a desire to let attention cool. Another detail that stood out was who didn't address the situation. Senior aides who typically offer background guidance to royal reporters remained quiet. Even seasoned correspondents noted the lack of off-the-record clarification. That absence matters, because when something is truly insignificant, the palace often lets trusted journalists downplay it quietly. Here, that didn't happen. Instead, the story hovered. Never confirmed, never denied. And hovering stories tend to make people uncomfortable inside palace walls. Especially future kings. A lot of you watching right now aren't subscribed yet. And that's okay. But if you're finding value in this kind of thoughtful royal analysis, it really does help keep these conversations going. When British media outlets eventually began addressing the situation, the tone was telling. No sensational headlines, no accusations, just careful wording. Phrases like routine security review, standard protocol, and no cause for concern appeared repeatedly. Royal correspondents emphasized that nothing illegal or improper had been identified, but they also acknowledged that the incident had sparked internal discussions. Several commentators drew comparisons to past moments where minor security issues prompted larger conversations behind the scenes. Not because of the issue itself, but because of what it represented. Control, predictability, trust. In the modern monarchy, those are currency. One historian pointed out that William, unlike previous heirs, has grown up watching how small lapses can spiral into public crises. He saw it with the press, with family disputes, with security breaches. So it makes sense, according to experts, that he would react strongly, even privately, to anything that introduces uncertainty. Not emotionally, strategically. And Camilla's role, while respected, still operates within that dynamic. She is consort, not sovereign, which means her actions and anything associated with them inevitably intersect with William's future responsibilities. That's not personal. It's structural. And structure matters in royal life. So what does all this mean going forward? That's the question royal observers are still debating. Some believe this moment will fade quietly, absorbed into the endless rhythm of royal protocol. Others think it reflects a deeper shift, William asserting clearer boundaries as he steps closer to the throne. Not confrontation in the traditional sense, but clarification. According to several analysts, William's approach has been consistent: minimize risk, streamline messaging, and reduce variables. From that perspective, even a routine security flag becomes a teaching moment, a reminder that nothing is too small to be reviewed. There's also the human element. Families, even royal ones, navigate moments of tension. Not everything needs to explode publicly to matter privately, and the monarchy has always functioned on private conversation shaping public calm. Whether this particular incident signals a lasting change or simply a brief recalibration remains unclear. There's no evidence of fallout, no visible fracture, just adjustment. And sometimes, adjustment is the story. This channel is about understanding these moments, not rushing to conclusions or fueling drama. The monarchy operates in subtleties, and those subtleties are where the real insights live. As things stand, the palace has moved on. Public appearances continue. Schedules are full. Smiles are back. But for those paying close attention, that brief pause, that subtle shift, still lingers. Because in royal life, moments that seem small often echo later. And the question isn't whether something happened, it's whether it changed anything. Do you think this moment actually signals a deeper shift in how William is shaping the monarchy? Or are people reading far too much into a routine security detail?